Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space. I hope you enjoy. Competition, written by Gaza1121. Name? Graddock. Full name, please. The receptionist clarified. Graddock Crushrock. Crushrock. Ah, yes, here we are. Species Musculus, preferred specialty, security and enforcement. Allotted room 334. Welcome to the Galactic Defense Corps Academy. Thanks, where do I find 334? Is there a map? Yes, sir. My apologies, replied the receptionist. Here is in your welcome pack. Your main orientation will take place tomorrow. Your time slot is in the pack I just gave you, and the location will be in front of the building we are in now. So, what should I do today? Graddock asked, though the answer seemed obvious. For today, I recommend that you rest and read over your welcome pack. I understand the travel from your world is a long one. Out of curiosity, did you stay awake for the trip? No, I wasn't going to lounge about for 5 weeks waiting to arrive. I went into stasis practically the moment I stepped onto the ship. From one rest straight into another, then. There's nothing wrong with a lie-in, is there? Graddock asked jovially, smiling in spite of himself. Damn, these old rumbobs, they always seem so nice. You could never dislike their kind, not for very long anyway. When they joined the Galactic Federation, they cornered the market on service industry almost overnight. Almost every waitress, waiter, receptionist, and bartender was a Yolrum-bob. Yes, they charged above the average for their work, but for staff they had an almost inevitable instinct to cheer up the customers. It was worth it. The receptionist smiled. Oh, of course not. Then, as if a thought had just occurred to her, she asked, if you have gone from sleep to sleep, you probably haven't heard about the humans. The what? A new race that joined the Federation. A new race? Yes. They may cause problems for your people at the start. Maybe we can get some of my hats, she said with a giggle. Hats? Asked Graddock, perplexed. Abruptly, the office phone began to chime. Sorry, but I have to take this. There is a pamphlet on the humans in your welcome pack. She spoke quickly while reaching for the handset. Good luck in your studies, and again, welcome to the GDC Academy. Raising the headset to her ear, she turned from Graddock, saying, GDC Academy, how may I help you? Turning with a welcome pack in one hand and his bag in the other, Graddock consulted the map as he left the main building. The building his room was in wasn't particularly far, but neither was it close. He briefly considered reading about these humans as he walked, then stuffed the folder into his bag and slung it over his shoulder. The humans weren't going anywhere. He can read about them later. Making his way towards the building, he thought about the way the receptionist had spoke about him. Species, Musculus, preferred specialty, security, and enforcement. Of course, his preferred specialty was security and enforcement. Honestly, what else would one with his kind do to start? Musculuses had been the strength of the GDC for decades. There were scant few of his people that hadn't gone into professions where their kinds of strengths were not employed. What would you expect from the only Deathworld race in the entire Federation? Reaching his room just as the class buzzer sounded, Graddock was dismayed to see 2 beds in his room. Sharing? They had him sharing? He supposed there was the fool's hope that he was randomly assigned to one of the solo rooms that were kept in case a species had issues that made it difficult to share rooms with other races. As he began to arrange the few personal items and clothing he had brought from home, his door opened behind him. Before he even had a chance to turn, a panicked voice spoke quickly. A human? My roommate is a human? I thought your kind preferred to bunk with each other. Not that I'm saying that you're unwelcome, but... Graddock finally spun around enough to see the speaker. A Guptacha. Of all the species he could live with, it had to be a Guptacha. Graddock wondered how long it would take for him to complain about his smell. It's not his fault, Graddock supposed. His species had the best senses in the Federation. With a nose like that, it would be easy to sniff Graddock's sweaty clothes. If his people were the strong arm of the GDC, then the Guptacha were undoubtedly the furry, wet nose. Their race's superior senses made them obvious choices for scouts and detectives. as he saw Craddock's face and being suddenly seemed relieved. That only gave Craddock pause. The other races had an almost universal apprehension of his kind. People seemed to always assume he might attack just because he came from a death world. "Oh, sorry, you're a musculus. I'm sorry, I thought you were human." "What? No, the new species? Why the feck would you think that I was human? My kind has been part of the Federation for over 50 years.
You mean you don't know? Where have you been the last 6 months? Sleeping under a rock?
Yes, actually, I have, Craddock retorted, perhaps a little louder than he meant to. Do you have a problem with that?
No, not at all,
said the good capture, the shaking of his head making his long ears flop about. Sudden realization washed over his face as he smacked his snout with a paw, the equivalent of a pace bomb of his kind.
I'm so sorry. You just had your hibernation cycle, didn't you? Of course you wouldn't know.
Walking over to his side of the room, he grabbed a piece of paper off his desk and held it out to the Craddock. Taking it, he figured it was a pamphlet on humans the receptionist had mentioned. Turning it over, he had a first view of human species and said the first thing that came to him. "What in the feck is that?"
"Yeah, pretty much what every race in the Federation had a similar reaction," nodded the Guptacha.
Looking at the bullet points alongside the image, it first read, "Despite appearances, they are in no way related to the musculus race." Craddock read the line multiple times, as if expecting the words and image to suddenly change. But no, the image, save the face, was almost identical to himself. A little larger, a touch stockier, but still well within error. The smiling face was the only real difference. Where his kind had 4 eyes, these humans only had 2, though the expanse of skin above the main eyes was still present. He couldn't tell in the still image, but he thought his kind's teeth were longer, more geared towards carnivores. Where these things herbivores, omnivores, he went back to the information points. Significantly stronger than average, possessed by a constitution expected of a death. These beings are Deathworlders.
Oh yeah, big time. I've seen some of the images of their homeworld, and it's the stuff of nightmares. How can any sentient species evolve on Deathworlds?
Said Craddock sarcastically, raising his hand.
Oh, sorry,
he replied weakly. What about strength? It says significant.
Put it this way, he replied. They had to get their own exercise room.
What?
Yep, humans only. They are Deathworlders after all.
I'm a Deathworlder, barked Craddock, and tickled him at least, barking at the Guptacha.
Well, yes, agreed the Guptacha with a nod. But there are Deathworlders, and then there are Deathworlders.
What's that supposed to mean? As his new roommate opened their muzzle to reply, a class buzzer sounded, causing him to yip in alarm.
Beck, I'm going to be late for class. We can continue this later.
Grabbing a few books, he whipped back around, heading for the door.
I'm T, by the way. Nice to meet you.
Craddock, said Craddock. Just before the door shut fully, T poked his elongated face back in.
One last thing. I know how much your kind like to exercise. I would take it as a great favor if you would shower and wash your gym clothes before coming back to the room.
Yeah, sure, Craddock replied, struggling to keep a straight face. Less than 10 minutes, he thought. Once again, alone in his shared room, he looked at the time. 1 p.m. Looking at the fairly thick welcome booklet, he said, "Nope," flipped it over to see the campus map and reached out for his gym bag. 5 minutes later, he was walking towards the exercise rooms. As he approached, he saw there was indeed 2 distinctly separate rooms. One was significantly larger than the other, owing to the vast array of exercise equipment suitable for over 20 different species, separated by a glass wall. The other smaller room was clearly designed for bipeds. Everything was much narrower, but there was less equipment because only one species was supposed to use it. Finally, seeing the humans running on treadmills, he understood the receptionist's giggle. Looking at them facing the wall, he would have mistaken them as his own kind himself if he didn't know for a fact that he was currently the only student of his species on this planet. He had taken the first transport available the moment he had awoken from hibernation. Hats indeed. Looking at the humans, he noted that only 3 were in the room and none were using the weights. In fact, the weights looked completely unused, at least today. All 3 were facing the wall, running on treadmills. Looking closely at them, with his long-range eyes, he could clearly see the sweat running from their arms, making small puddles on the sides of the treads, not as strong as he thought then. They were barely jogging and they were drenched and wet. Making a snap decision, he changed his direction. He walked into the human-only gym and showed them the other species that he was strong as his new Deathworlders. He was of the musculars. His people had been the strong arms of the GDC for over 50 years. He was of the musculars. His people were the strongest beings in the entire Federation. He was Graddock Crushrock, and he was falling. The moment he crossed the threshold to the room, the force pushed on every cell of his body. It pushed him to his knees instantly and, moments later, to his stomach. The best he could do on his journey downwards was turn his head slightly in an effort to save his face. He was strapped, pinned to the ground, and as the torment him further, one of the humans began to laugh. Well, that's a beer you owe me, Jenkins. God damn you cadets, why don't you ever read the damn gym schedule? Thursdays are cardio, with extra gravity for resistance. Oh, feck, thought Graddock. The insane things have increased the gravity to make running harder. Suddenly, he realized how much trouble he was in. They thought he was human. Well, you just get up, buddy. The aliens are watching and you're making us look bad. It's only 2.75 G. You hit 3 G leaving Earth. This is really bad, thought Graddock as his vision began to darken. They don't understand I'm in danger because I look like them. They think I can just get up. I need to ask for help. He couldn't talk anymore. He couldn't get enough air. So he did the only thing he could. He grunted. Hey, you okay? The first voice said. The first bits of concern creeping into his voice. Graddock heard him move off the treadmill and approach. Yes, wailed Graddock. Yes, look at me. I'm not human. As true darkness crept over his eyes, he saw a two-eyed face swim into his vision. Saw panic and understanding blossoming in his eyes. Feck, non-human, non-human. At that, he finally slipped into unconsciousness. Graddock had an odd floating sensation. It could have been seconds, minutes, or hours. He had no way of knowing. When a horrible clawing smell dragged him, kicking and screaming, into consciousness. Knocking away something under his nose, he suddenly realized that he really was floating. Hey, you okay? Can you tell me your name? My name is Graddock. Graddock Crushrock. Seriously? Dude, that name is fucking metal. What? Never mind. How do you feel? Shaken, but okay. Good! Next question. What the fuck made you walk into a cardio day? I didn't know. I'm new? Oh, well now you know. Your people call us Deathworlders for a reason. I'm a Deathworlder as well. Oh yeah, I heard there was a second Deathworld race. Hi, said Graddock weakly. What class of Deathworld? Asked the humans. Graddock recognized the voice from earlier. This was Jenkins. Graddock suddenly had a sinking feeling in his stomach. 5. Ah, said Jenkins, nodding. Earth is a class 18. 18? Echoed Graddock. 18 of a possible 20. The musculars, the strongest beings in all the Federation for 50 years, had competition. End of story. I would quickly like to thank the T5 channel members and Patreons. Caspar Arnholtz, Cam Maxwell, Barky, Lord Azrakal, It's Difficult to Pronounce, Dragzoon WRE, Holly's Sister, Arcadian. Thank you very much.